It's almost 6 p.m. Carl local time and you're watching Qnews. Our special coverage begins with escalating military actions in Gaza, where the Israeli army has launched a ground operation in Beit Hanun. The destruction of Kamal Adwan Hospital has sparked international outrage. We'll also cover ongoing Houthi missile strikes on Israel and the broader regional tensions. Stay tuned for analysis and updates. The Israeli military has launched a ground operation in Beit Hanun, North Gaza, accompanied by artillery and air strikes targeting alleged Hamas fighters and infrastructure. Military spokesperson Daniel Hagari stated that the Nahl Brigade carried out the overnight operation guided by intelligence. The military claims the offensive aims to enhance security for areas near Gaza. Airstrikes reportedly struck alleged Hamas positions, with the army asserting that civilians were permitted to evacuate during the operation. The Israeli army has detained the director of Kamal Adwan Hospital in northern Gaza, burned sections of its facilities and destroyed all generators, further deepening the healthcare crisis in the region. The Palestinian Ministry of Health has issued an urgent appeal for international intervention to sustain medical services amid the escalating situation. Israeli forces, meanwhile, continued their relentless attacks for the 449th consecutive day, resulting in severe humanitarian conditions and the displacement of 95% of Gaza's residents. The European Union's Commissioner for Equality and Crisis Management, Hajj Lahbib, has condemned Israeli forces for reportedly burning Kamal Adwan Hospital in northern Gaza. In a statement on the platform X, Lahbib described the partial destruction of the region's last major hospital as unacceptable and highlighted the forced evacuation of patients and staff. She also stressed that targeting medical facilities violates the international humanitarian law and called for the immediate delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza. The World Health Organization has confirmed that an Israeli attack on Kamal Adwan Hospital in northern Gaza has destroyed the region's last major health facility. The WHO warned that the systematic destruction of Gaza's healthcare infrastructure is leaving thousands of Palestinians without access to life-saving care. The attack reportedly caused severe damage to critical hospital sections. 60 paramedics and 25 critical ill patients remain at the site, while others have been evacuated to already damaged Indonesian hospital, heightening concerns over their safety amid ongoing violence. US media have stated that the Biden administration remains hopeful about a potential ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, as well as a detainee exchange. Despite recent stalled negotiations, the White House believes a deal is still achievable before Biden's term ends. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby emphasized the ongoing pressure on both sides to reach an agreement, holding Hamas responsible for the delays. Disagreements remain centered on the list of detainees to be released in the initial phase of the deal. The UNICEF has reported that over 1 in 6 children live in conflict zones worldwide. It also confirmed that at least 17,492 children have been killed in nearly 15 months of ongoing conflict, which has devastated much of the enclave. The Palestinian Ministry of Health reports that Israeli forces have carried out 2 massacres in Gaza, killing 48 Palestinians and injuring 52 others within the last 24 hours. The ongoing assault has brought the death toll in Gaza to over 45,484 since October of last year, with more than 108,900 people injured. And for further analysis on the situation and the latest military aggressions by Israel in Gaza, we're joined from Cairo by the managing editor of Al Ahram newspaper, Mr. Ashraf Al-Ashri. Welcome to Qnews, sir, and it's a pleasure to have you with us on the show. Sir, how do you assess the impact of Israel's recent ground operation in Beit Hanun on Gaza's civilian population?
For sure, the situation is very tragic over the last few hours. The hitting of the Kamal Adwan hospital and burning the hospital and arresting its director and a number of the medical staff. Many of them have been arrested recently, and there are also operations in Beit Hanun and continued Israeli bombardment. And the spokesman for the Israeli army said that a rocket has been launched from this area because there is an Israeli intention for full evacuation and emptying the north of Gaza Strip, Beit Hanun and Beit Lahia, and finishing any operation inside the hospitals of this area. There is a full destruction, burning, and demolition of the situation, and a lot of arrests of the medical group. It's a genocide war in full term in the north of Gaza Strip, especially at Beit Hanun, Beit Lahia, and it is an intentional operation by Israel in order to force Hamas for more concessions in a deal that is yet to come. And the UN says that 88% of the areas of North Gaza is not habitable anymore because of the Israeli aggression recently.
Sir, what are the broader implications of the destruction of Kamal Adwan Hospital for Gaza's healthcare system and the international community's response?
For sure, the health sector has been destroyed and demolished by Israel. The last hospital that was receiving a lot of patients was the Kamal Adwan Hospital, and it was the last hospital standing. That is, it's the one that has been receiving 400,000 cases annually. Now this hospital has been out of service, and apparently there is no way for any kind of operative hospitals in North Gaza after attacking the Auda hospital and the Indonesian hospital. This was the only remaining hospital, and it has been destroyed and demolished on Thursday and Friday by Israel, and it's now out of service. So this would lead to more dangerous repercussions on the health sector in the north of Gaza Strip, and this should put the international community before its responsibilities. The Secretary General of UN and the World Health Organization have alarmed about the situation and saying that the north of Gaza is the worst place on earth health-wise, but still there was no attention by the international community that is still ignoring what is happening in North Gaza and not stopping the aggression by the Israeli government and the Netanyahu government in the north of Gaza. And Netanyahu wants to prolong the war and to force a deal that is at the highest level. And maybe Netanyahu is waiting for Trump to come to power so as to give Netanyahu more presence in a way that gets the ceasefire, the way that serves the interest and strategy of Israel, and ignoring all those people killed and people injured in Gaza Strip.
Sir, with Israel's continued military aggressions, what steps can the international community take to address the growing humanitarian crisis in Gaza?
Unfortunately, the international community is not doing much. Even the resolution that has been passed in the Security Council 3 months ago that was calling for a ceasefire and starting the provision of aid to Gaza Strip and the ceasefire from the Israeli side and finding a way for exchanging hostages and prisoners. This resolution by UN Security Council did not have any mechanism to be implemented on the ground. It was not implemented at all because of the positions of Israel and not having much pressure from the US on Israel, because the US is the only party that can really pressure Israel, and unfortunately there has been a reluctance of the American administration to do so. Everybody is waiting for Trump to come to power, and still Trump is probably going to have its own way to have a deal, but Netanyahu is abusing the remaining time before Trump comes to power and continuing the genocide against Palestinians, so as there will be a total wipeout of the Palestinians from North Gaza, and to establish the status quo of Israel in Gaza, so as there would not be a Palestinian administration or a Palestinian rule in Gaza, because when the Israeli officials visited Philadelphia last week, he said there will be more barracks and there will be no withdrawal, no return of Hamas, and this will take everybody to square one regarding the situation and keeping the status quo. Everybody is waiting for Trump to come to office to see how the equation would be changed and how Netanyahu will be responding to the new American administration. But the situation in the north of Gaza Strip is the worst of ever after the Israeli aggression.
Okay, sir, how do you read or how do you explain the international reactions of Israel's targeting of medical facilities in Gaza? And do you foresee any significant political consequences?
For sure, there is more anger and denouncing of this in the international community. Over the last 2 days, all the regional and international community has been condemning this and making reactions to the Israeli aggression. The only country in the world that did not denounce it, did not ask Israel to stop these aggressions, was the United States. Therefore, Israel is continuing with its course on this course of aggression and the change in the equation in the north of Gaza Strip in order to impose a status quo and to push the people out and a full displacement of the people of North Gaza to the south, in order to build some Israeli bases in these areas with the pretext of protecting the Gaza enclave areas inside Israel, And this requires Arab and regional action, because there is evidence by the World Health Organization and many international institutions about the aggression of Israel. There will be more in the Security Council, but with the UN administration under Biden now, it will not allow any resolution in the Security Council that will be stopping the Israeli killing and the Israeli aggression. And the Security Council will be dominated by the US, because the American veto will be there, and there is more of a blessing by the United States of this operation by Israel in the north of Gaza Strip. So the international community is just watching what is happening and only denouncing, and but still the United States is supporting Israel.
That was the managing editor of Al Ahram newspaper, Mr. Ashraf Al-Ashri. Sir, I can't thank you enough for your informative, valuable knowledge and your insights. Thank you very much for joining us in today's special coverage. And now we move on, turning to the escalating tensions in Yemen. The Houthi military spokesperson has announced the targeting of Israel's Nevatim airbase. In a statement, the spokesperson confirmed the attack was carried out over a hypersonic ballistic missile. The Israeli military has previously reported intercepting a missile launched from Yemen outside its borders last night. Sirens have sounded in several areas around Israel followed the missile launch from Yemen. The Israeli military confirmed that its air defense system intercepted the missile outside its borders. Israeli media also reported that the Houthis have launched 10 missiles and 9 drones towards Israel since the beginning of the month. Israeli media outlets have reported that Israel is preparing to launch extensive military operations against the Houthis in Yemen, with the goal of weakening the group and targeting its leadership in response to their attacks. According to Israeli security sources, Israel has proposed to the United States and other countries the idea of conducting joint operations against the Houthis, with estimates suggesting the campaign could last several weeks. The United Nations aid official has warned that the damage in Sana'a airport, a key hub for international aid workers, would cripple humanitarian operations. This followed Israeli airstrikes on targets in Yemen. He also stressed the obligation to avoid civilian targets, noting that the airport has not been used for military purposes since 2016. With over half of Yemen's population in need of aid, he also highlighted the crucial role of the Hodeidah port in food imports, emphasizing the severe impact of any potential damage. And for further analysis on the recent escalating tensions between Yemen's Houthis and Israel, we're joined from Cairo by Professor of Political Science, Dr. Ayman Al-Ragab. Welcome to Qnews, sir, and it's a pleasure to have you with us on the show. Sir, how do you view the recent Israeli attack or airstrike on Sana'a International Airport and its impact on humanitarian operations in Yemen?
For sure, the Israeli occupation attacks on Sana'a and Hodeidah as a reaction to the missiles launched from Yemen to Israel, the capital Tel Aviv. The attacks the attacks that were a response from Israel. What is more dangerous were the threats launched by Netanyahu and his government yesterday against the leadership of Houthis, saying that there will be 4 particular targets. Abdullah al-Houthi, of course, in addition his 3 assistants, and he named them as prime targets for Israel in the future.
Dr. Waqab, what is the significance of the United States and Israel's continued strikes against the Houthis in Yemen, and how might this affect regional stability?
Since the events of October 7 last year, there has been a great deal of tension in the regional waters, especially in the Gulf. And the Houthis did not stop the attacks, and they did not stop their siege of the maritime navigation. There has been continuous bombardment by the Americans and by the British, and with the support of NATO against targets inside Yemen, and it was basically focusing on Al Hudaydah port and the electricity company in Sana'a. So I believe that the Americans will not stop doing this, but they understand that they are not fighting a regime with headquarters and stuff. So attacking the electricity company is something that harms the Yemeni people. Because the Houthis are in the caves and in the desert and in the mountains. So classically attacking the cities is something that is really harming the people. The justification of Israel, as said, is to stop Houthis from launching missiles. Even the attacks by Houthis against the vessels did not stop. So what is needed is to go to stop the war in Gaza. So it's interconnected.
Sir, in light of the damage to Sana'a airport, what challenges do humanitarian organizations face in delivering aid to Yemen at this point?
That's why I said that for the first time the Sana'a International Airport was hit. Before that there were operations that is attacking the Hudaydah airport or the electricity company, but for the first time it was attacking the airport. It is like the Israeli occupation for the first time decides, with the support of Britain and the US, to attack this airport in a way that will definitely affect the humanitarian aid organization that used to be using this airport to deliver aid and rescue to Yemenis. So the operation of this organization will be more limited in Yemen. This airport was working despite the stoppage of navigation, but still this will make things very difficult for these organizations to deliver aid.
Dr. Al-Raqab, how does the ongoing conflict in Yemen, including Houthi missile strikes on Israel, influence the broader security dynamics in the Middle East, or its impact on the Middle East, sir?
The Israeli occupation, as Netanyahu said in the Knesset 3 days ago, he spoke like a victorious person, as if he achieved everything he wanted in the region. And he talked about defeating Hezbollah. And in fact, Hezbollah has been subjected to severe hits. The Israelis did not speak much about the assassinations, but they assassinated Haniya, and now they are explicitly saying we did it, and they will put some videos about how these attacks, this attack. So Netanyahu spoke as a victorious, and the collapse of the regime of Bashar al-Assad was also important for Israel, as Israel has occupied new areas in the Syrian Golan Heights, and they are now rather closer. Iran has been silent to these statements by Netanyahu. So when we speak about the security dynamics in the Middle East and the future of the Middle East, I believe that basically, if we wish to make that kind of analysis, we should say that the first point is to stop the war on Gaza. And it's not about missiles launched from Yemen or anywhere. It's all about getting the ones who rule Tel Aviv, that it's not about victories made on Hezbollah, on Hamas. It's more to establish peace and security in the region. Other than that, it will be pointless.
That was the Professor of Political Science, Dr. Ayman Al-Raqab. Thank you for your insights, sir, and thank you very much for joining our special coverage. This brings us to the end of our special coverage on the Middle East. Remember to stay updated by following Qnews on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at Qnews EG for the latest developments. Stay tuned.